the option to combine the data from the Babylonian Chronicles, the biblical historiography as presented in the second book of Kings, and the prophetic literature as we have in the book of Jeremiah, and to create from these three sources a cohesive and clear historical picture, is a unique phenomena for this period. It comes from the nature of the Babylonian Chronicles as a unique and exact description of the events from the Babylonian side, and the fact that the Book of Kings and Jeremiah were written in a period close to the events they describe for people that lived close to the time of the events. Just as an example, and as a starting point for the events that I will describe in this unit, let me take you back to the events of 609 BCE, this important year in history when we hear for the last time about Assyria, when Pharaoh Necho came to assist the Assyrians in the Battle of Haran, and when King Josiah was killed. All of it is part of the same historical event. Let me read part of the Babylonian Chronicle from the 17th year of Nebuchadnezzar. Remember that some parts are missing and broken, but the text is clear. I'm reading it from the book of Grayson. In the month of Tammuz, Ashur-uballit, king of Assyria, together with great Egyptian army, crossed the river and marched against the city of Haran to conquer it. The garrison which the king of Akkad had stationed in it, they waved something broken and slew something broken, and he encamped against the city of Haran. Until the month of Elul, he made an attack upon the city and took nothing. Only then they withdrew. The king of Akkad came to the help of his troops, but didn't attack them, and went up to the land of Izalah. End of quote. The dates in this description are clear. From the months of Tammuz, between mid-June and mid-July 609 BCE, to the months of Elul, between mid-August and mid-September of that same year. It means that these events took place and it took the time of 2 months of Egyptian-Assyrian military expedition. Let me add 2 more details that we know about them. 1, the Egyptian center in Syria was at Rivlah. And 2, it takes about 2 weeks for an organized army to go from Israel to the Euphrates. Now, let's add to what we know from the Babylonian Chronicles, what we know from the Book of Kings regarding this exact time and these same events. I will read part of the description from the second Book of Kings, chapter 23, from verse 29 to 35. And let's start with verse 29. בימיו עלה פרעה נכו מלך מצרים על מלך אשור על נהר פרת, וילך המלך יאשיהו לקראתו, וימיתהו במגידו כראותו אותו. We know that Pharaoh Necho went up to the Euphrates River to help the king of Assyria. King Josiah came to meet him at Megiddo, probably because it was Necho's first year and he wanted to get a personal loyal oath from all the kings. Something had happened, and Necho decided to kill him at Megiddo. Let's continue. I'm reading from verse 30. וירכבוהו עבדיו מת ממגידו, ויביאוהו ירושלים, ויקברוהו בקבורתו, ויקח עם הארץ את יהואחז בן יאשיהו, וימשכו אותו, וימליכו אותו תחת אביו. The people of the land took Jehoahaz, the son of Josiah, and anointed him, made him king in place of his father. It means that he was not the crown prince. Otherwise, he would become a king without any need to anoint him. We will talk about it in a minute. But let's continue, and I'll read from verse 31 and on. בן 23 שנה יהואחז במלכו, ו3 חודשים מלך בירושלים. ויאסרהו פרעה נכו ברבלה בארץ חמת, ממלוך בירושלים. וימלך פרעה נכו את אליקים בן יאשיהו, תחת יאשיהו אביו, ויסב את שמו יהויקים. ואת יהואחז לקח, ויבוא מצרים, וימת שם. The facts are, Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he became king. He reigned 3 months. Pharaoh Necho put him in chains at Rivla in the land of Hamat. Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim, another son of Josiah, a king in place of his father, and changed Eliakim's name to Jehoiakim. He didn't recognize Jehoahaz's rule. He put Jehoiakim instead of his father. Pharaoh Necho then took Jehoahaz to Egypt, and there he died. The date of Josiah's death and Jehoahaz's rule are clear. Pharaoh Necho was at Megiddo about 2 weeks before he arrived to the Euphrates. It means that we are talking about the end of May or the beginning of June 609 BCE. He came back to Rivla about 2 weeks after he withdrew from the battle in Haran at the end of September 609 BCE. All in all, it took about 3 months. It is exactly the 3 months of Jehoahaz's rule. King Josiah was killed at the beginning of June 609. Jehoahaz ruled between early June and the end of September 609. There is also the date of the beginning of Jehoiakim's rule, the beginning of September 609 BCE. Our ability to know these exact dates is fantastic. This is the time for some mathematical calculations together with some gossip regarding King Josiah. According to the second book of Kings, chapter 22, verse 1, Josiah died when he was 39 years old. Check me. בן 8 שנה יאשיהו במלכו, ו31 שנה מלך בירושלים. It means that he was 8 years old when he started his rule, and he ruled for 31 years. It means that he died when he was 39. At the same time, when Josiah was killed, his son Jehoahaz became king. He was 23 years old. Check me with the second book of Kings, chapter 23, verse 31. I know it. בן 23 שנה יהואחז במלכו, ו3 חודשים מלך בירושלים. It means that Josiah was 39 years old, Jehoahaz was 23 years old, and it means that he was born when Josiah was 16. We can even reduce 9 months of pregnancy and understand that Josiah was around 15 years old when he was already married. However, Jehoahaz was not the firstborn son of Josiah, and not even his second son. 3 months after the death of Josiah and the deportation of Jehoahaz to Egypt, his other son, Eliakim, Jehoiakim, became king. He was 25 years old. Check me with the second book of Kings, chapter 23, verse 36. I know it. בן 25 שנה יהויקים במלכו. Again, let's calculate. Josiah was 39 years when he died. His son Jehoiakim was 25 years when he became a king. It means that he was born when Josiah was 14. We can even reduce 9 months of pregnancy and understand that Josiah was around 13 years old when he was already married. However, also Jehoiakim was not the firstborn son of Josiah. According to the genealogical list of the Davidic family, as preserved in the second book of Chronicles, chapter 3, verse 15, Josiah had 4 sons. The first one was Yohanan. The second one was Jehoiakim, Joachim. The third one was Zedekiah, and the fourth one was Shallum. The fourth son, Shallum, was the first of Josiah's sons to become a king. How do we know it? With the assistance of the prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah, in chapter 22, verse 10, reading that. אל תבכו למת ואל תנודו לו. בכו בכו להולך, כי לא ישוב עוד וראה את ארץ מולדתו. The dead king is Josiah, and the king who goes away is Jehoahaz. Jeremiah knows Jehoahaz as Shallum, and we can read from chapter 22, verse 11 and 12. כי כה אמר אדוני אל שלום בן יאשיהו מלך יהודה, המולך תחת יאשיהו אביו. אשר יצא מן המקום הזה, לא ישוב שם עוד. כי במקום אשר הגלו אותו, שם ימות, ואת הארץ הזאת לא יראה עוד. The third son of Josiah is Zedekiah. We will meet him very soon. In this course, he will be a king. He is the last Davidic king in Jerusalem. The second son of Josiah is Jehoiakim, and he was 25 years old when his father was killed by Pharaoh Necho. However, there was one more son, the first son of Josiah, that we know nothing about him beside his name, Yochanan. He was born to Josiah before Jehoiakim, and probably before Josiah was 14 years old. What is the reason that it was so urgent for the Davidic house to prepare a crown prince for Josiah when he was only 13 years old? Well, I think that we should remember that Josiah was only 8 years old when he became a king after his father, Amon, was killed in a plot in his palace after only 2 years of rule. You can read about it in the second book of Kings, chapter 21, verses 19 to 26. It was clear to all that if something will happen to Josiah, it will be the end of this branch in the Davidic house, and the rule will move to another branch in the family. It was essential to have a crown prince to Josiah as soon as possible. You can see how much data we can have from the combination of the Babylonian Chronicles and the biblical book of Kings and from Jeremiah. How many questions we can ask on things that we can't even imagine regarding other periods in the biblical history. How many answers we can have to these questions?